to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video as the rumors have started to come out of who the New York Giants may look to pursue in free agency. Now, there have been rumors for a while now, a couple of days, that the Philadelphia Eagles will be in the hunt for Demarcus Robinson, the wide receiver of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. But now rumors have started to circulate that the Giants may have some interest in Robinson. And like Gettleman and Mara have continued to say, they want to try to fill in some holes for the draft. Well, one of their holes is depth at the wide receiver position. Now, whether or not Demarcus Robinson is the ideal guy to fill one of those holes, well, that's up for you to decide. The one thing that Robinson brings to the table is versatility. He can play in both the slot and on the outside. He's a guy that has some talent, no doubt about it, and he's kind of been in a logjam with the Kansas City Chiefs, seeing all the weapons that they have over there with Patrick Mahomes. Robinson is a former fourth-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's never exceeded more than about 450 yards, which he had last year. But like I said, he's kind of been stuck there with the Chiefs, with having guys like Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. So I don't really put that on him. He hasn't really been given the opportunity, and it seems as if he's going to have some interest when he hits the open market, and my guess is the biggest reason is the fact that he's very young. He's only 25 years old. So what I tried to do was look back at last year and tried to gather information as to what wide receivers he compares to in age and production. I couldn't find somebody that was exactly like him, but I found somebody who was somewhat comparable, and I will go over the contract that he did receive. If I'm the Giants, I'm not interested in this guy personally unless I could get him on a really affordable rate. I don't want to be shelling out $9 or $10 million a season and giving him 3 or 4 years for the simple reason that he's incredibly similar to receivers that we already have on the roster. Now, if you plan on cutting Tate next year, I get that he could fit in as a guy that could play in both the slot and the outside, and he is a little bit taller. He stands at 6'1", 203, and he's more of a vertical threat. He is a big play wide receiver. I've seen several Chiefs games, where he did, hit on deep balls down the field, and they may think that he is a match with Daniel Jones. His height and weight is very similar to that of Darius Slayton. So we'll have to wait and see. Is he a guy that's going to change this receiving core? No, but he's certainly a guy that would be a nice added weapon to the New York Giants and would help out Daniel Jones. And if you could get him on an affordable rate, by all means, go for it. But based on the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are already reportedly very interested, my guess is you're probably going to have to spend a little bit more than most Giants fans would be willing to spend. But let's jump into some of his statistics, career accomplishments, and a bit of a scouting report on Demarcus Robinson. So here we go. There's Demarcus Robinson of the Kansas City Chiefs. The first thing I wanted to show you was the article written by NJ.com that was later reported by Giants Wire and several other sources. The Giants are expected to pursue Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Demarcus Robinson when free agency begins. An individual with knowledge of the situation tells NJ Advanced Media. And a lot of Giants fans might be excited about this. They see, wide receivers are fun, whatever. And if it means that we don't draft a wide receiver early in the draft and he comes at a nice price, by all means, go for it. I am not a proponent of spending an early draft pick on a wide receiver. I never have been. Call me old school, call me what you will, but I think if you watch my free agency video, it demonstrates what my line of thinking is with that. That 22 Pro Bowlers have been found in the second round or later over the last 10 drafts, where only 11 have been in the first round. So if you can get value in free agency at the wide receiver position, by all means do it. He also fits the timeline of the New York Giants, being that he is incredibly young. He's 25, and he brings versatility, something that Joe Judge has expressed, and we've talked a lot about the defensive end when it comes to versatility. Well, Demarcus Robinson would bring that on the offensive end. You can line him up in a variety of ways like the Kansas City Chiefs have done throughout the entirety of his career. So I certainly see the attraction for the right price. I'm not giving him $10 million a year, $9 million a year. I wanted to show you guys his statistics. Now, keep in mind that he has been kind of in a logjam, like I said, hasn't been given a full opportunity with the Chiefs with all the weapons they got over there. But a former fourth-round pick out of Florida, over the course of his career, only got 6 snaps in his rookie season, so you can't even look at that. His second year in 2017, he had 212 yards in a limited role, followed by 288 in 2018, and this past year, he started to develop more of a role. He had about 450 yards, 449 yards, and I believe he averaged 14 yards per reception. Can't quite remember the touchdowns, but was a bit more of a factor for the Chiefs this year. But when you have receivers as talented as they do, running backs as talented as they do, you can't really expect them to put up 7, 8, 900 yards. Now, the guy I'm going to compare him to that signed a contract last year for 4 years, $36 million, and I think a lot of it was based on his age, and yes, he had better stats, but you could certainly attribute that maybe to that he was in a better situation, and he was more of a defined receiver, being that I think he's more of a slot than anything else, was Humphries, who signed with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I wanted to pull up his numbers. Now, like I said, his numbers are going to be a little bit better, given that he was given a better opportunity with the Bucks. He signed with the Tennessee Titans, rather. And his last year with Tampa Bay, he had 781 yards with 76 catches. So he was certainly a much more accomplished receiver. So Robinson may not go for this price, but being that he has more suitors and they both hit free agency at the same age, 25 years old, Robinson may get something somewhat comparable, maybe $7 million a year. But, young receiver, a guy with upside, expect him. You're not going to get him for pennies on the dollar. You're going to get him. You're going to have to pay a decent price, I would think, to bring this guy in. And look at what Humphries did. He dipped tremendously this year for only 374 yards. However, he only played 12 games. So that was the guy from last year's class that I found that was somewhat comparable. Of course, you're not going to find anything, that's identical. But I would guess 3 years, 21 might be what you're looking at for Demarcus Robinson, unless the Eagles are willing to break the bank. And if they are, let the Eagles have him. I do think he would be a very good fit with Carson Wentz. And the Eagles are in desperate need of a wide receiver. So I definitely see the Eagles going out there and spending what they feel they have to spend to bring this guy in if he is on their radar. In terms of the wide receiver market, when you look at free agency, you have A.J. Green, but he's an age veteran. I don't see him getting a big contract based off his age and injuries. Robbie Anderson of the New York Jets probably projects to be the guy that gets the biggest amount of money in terms of length of contract. But Robinson is probably in the top 4 or 5. Per NFL.com, talent, this is the scouting report on Demarcus Robinson. Per NFL.com, talent jumps off the tape early in the session. This was during, when he was a rookie going into the pros. Electric vertical talent that can make cornerbacks rethink their coverage plans, which is interesting to me because his 40 time does not jump off the page. It's okay. It was a 4.59, but supposedly he is great at getting off the line of scrimmage, and that is why he's been a pretty successful vertical threat, specifically this year for the Chiefs. Has shake at the line of scrimmage to free himself against press coverage and has adequate ball tracking skills. Graceful, flexible athlete with instant turbo acceleration. Has ability to hit the home run after the catch. Races off the line and force cornerbacks into retreat, opening easy comeback catches. Has talent and ability to make a living outside or from the slot. And one thing I've talked about that Jason Garrett is going to look to bring in to this offense is guys that can be vertical threats. That's what the Air Coryell system is. Now, I'm not saying that Garrett is going to be married to that system. I think he'll be versatile. I think the Giants plan, like Joe Judge has said, to adapt the offense around the talent on the roster. But I think Garrett, in an ideal world, would want wide receivers that could stretch the field, which is why, if I had to guess, the New York Giants are interested in Demarcus Robinson. They already have a guy on the team like Darius Slayton, who is certainly a vertical threat, but it wouldn't hurt to add another one, a guy that could really stretch the field. Shepard is more of a crossing pattern type player. Same with Golden Tate. Golden Tate doesn't create much separation. Robinson may be that guy for Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. So we'll have to wait and see, if the New York Giants are willing to spend, X amount of dollars to bring this guy in. But I think it's going to cost you at least $7 or $8 million a year based on his age and based on his upside. But Robinson may be a target for the New York Giants, as reported by NJ.com. Makes sense in terms of the fit for the New York Giants offense. I just, I don't want the Giants to overspend at that position, being that they have so many other more pressing needs. So let's say they spend $60 million in free agency. Do you really want them to spend $9 million on the wide receiver position when they need to fill the tackle? You want them to get an edge rusher. They still need a backup quarterback, whether they decide to address that in the draft or free agency. So we'll have to wait and see. But Robinson would certainly be an interesting prospect. The other thing that like I said earlier in the video, that I'm not that thrilled about is the fact that he seems very similar to that of Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, being that he's a guy that plays in both the slot and on the outside, more so Sterling Shepard, but maybe poses more of a vertical threat. So we'll have to wait and see. He does fit, though, what Garrett is looking to do in terms of the Air Coryell offense to try to open up the passing game for the tight end and the running game for Saquon Barkley. And he's very young, and he fits the timeline of this team. So we'll see. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.